Ever wish you could earn crypto just by, posting your thoughts online?
Well, get this. You actually can.
Today's deep dive, we're all about Hive.
This blockchain-based platform where blogging can actually, believe it or not, line your pockets.
And we're not talking, pennies here.
No.
Our expert's going to tell us all about it.
Hive has some really intriguing earning potential, especially for those who, are early adopters.
Now, our guide for this deep dive is, got to be honest, a little bit old.
Okay.
It's from 2021.
All right.
But the core concepts, they still hold up. Think of it like vintage wine.
Some things get better with age, right?
Exactly.
What's fascinating is that back in 2021, people were already craving alternatives to traditional social media.
Interesting.
Yeah, they wanted more control over their data, their content, and honestly, they wanted to earn from their efforts. Does that sound familiar?
Totally. It's like those frustrations just keep, echoing louder each year, it seems like.
Exactly. That's why I think Hive is so relevant today.
Yeah.
It tackles those issues head on.
Okay. So this 2021 guide, it's got doodles, it's got that retro charm.
Right.
But what's the gist of it? Like, how do you get started with this thing?
Okay, so imagine a platform where every comment, every interaction holds real value.
Right.
That's Hive in a nutshell.
Okay.
The guide uses a really clever analogy. They compare using Hive to, using the internet itself.
Okay.
So you have the Hive.io blockchain, which is like your internet service provider.
Right.
And then you have apps like PicD,
Okay.
which is what we'll focus on today.
Okay.
That act as your browser for, accessing and experiencing everything that Hive has to offer.
So Hive.io is like the infrastructure, the backbone.
Yes.
And then PicD is where the magic happens.
Exactly.
You're actually doing the blogging, the interacting, everything else.
Yeah. And just like any secure online platform, you'll need an account.
Right.
But here's where Hive gets interesting. It takes security seriously, even more so than your average social media platform, because your account is linked to your crypto wallet.
That's right. This isn't just about racking up likes. This is about earning real cryptocurrency. So walk me through this whole account setup.
Sure.
It sounds a tad more intense than your average, create a username and password situation.
It is, and for good reason.
Yeah.
The guide recommends using the Hive keychain extension, which acts like a super secure crypto wallet specifically designed for Hive.
Okay.
Think of it as your digital vault for all things Hive.
Got it.
It stores your username, password, and most importantly, your private keys.
Wait, private keys? Is that like having the nuclear launch codes for my Hive account?
In a way, yes, they're that important.
Okay.
Having multiple private keys, which is a unique feature of Hive, ensures that even if one key is compromised, the others are still safe.
Oh, wow.
The guide explains it by comparing it to having separate keys for your house, your car, and your mailbox.
Right.
Each key grants you access to specific areas.
Makes sense.
So you have an owner key for, the big stuff, an active key for financial transactions, a posting key, you guessed it, for posting content, and a memo key for encrypting private messages.
Okay, I'm starting to see why Hive takes security so seriously.
Yeah.
It's like Fort Knox for your online identity.
Exactly. It's all about giving you, the user, complete control over your data and your assets.
I have to admit, this already is way more intriguing than your average social media sign-up process.
It's a bit different, right?
Yeah, definitely. So once I've got my Hive account locked and loaded, I'm good to start blogging on PicD.
You're definitely on the right track.
Okay.
But there's one more crucial concept to grasp before you unleash your inner wordsmith.
All right, hit me.
Resource credits.
Okay, resource credits. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. What are those exactly?
Think of resource credits, or RC as they're often called, as the lifeblood of the Hive blockchain.
Ooh, okay.
They prevent spam and ensure that everyone has fair access to the platform's resources.
So it's like a way to make sure one person can't just hog all the bandwidth with a million posts a minute.
Precisely. Every action you take on Hive, from posting and commenting to even upvoting, consumes a small amount of these resource credits.
Interesting. So how do I get my hands on these resource credits? Do I have to, buy them or something?
That's where Hive Power comes in, or HP for short. The more HP you have, the more resource credits you have at your disposal.
Ah, so it's like HP is my influence on Hive, and it directly translates to how much I can do on the platform.
You got it. It's a brilliant system that encourages quality contributions and discourages spammy behavior.
Okay, so more HP equals more influence and more resources to play with.
Yeah.
Got it. But as a newbie, just starting out, wouldn't my HP, and therefore my resource credits, be pretty limited? So if I'm understanding this right, as a newbie, my influence and therefore my resource credits are going to be kind of limited when I first start out. Does that mean I'm like stuck waiting for scraps at the Hive banquet?
Not at all. Our trusty guide from 2021, it points out a website, giftgiver.site. Okay.
That can give you a little boost,
Right.
just to get you going. It's like a welcome basket full of resource credits, just enough to get your feet wet while you're, finding your footing in the Hive ecosystem.
Okay, so it's like a temporary boost to get started. But the guide probably emphasizes that's not like a long-term solution.
You're catching on quick.
Yeah.
The real beauty of Hive is that it's designed for you to earn your way.
Right.
And there are more ways to earn HP than you can shake a stick at.
Really?
Writing, engaging content, curating other people's posts through upvotes, even delegating your HP to users you believe in.
Now that you mention it, I am kind of itching to actually start crafting my first Hive blog post. What's next?
Well, you're in luck because Peak D makes it surprisingly easy to just dive right in. Remember, this guide might be from 2021,
Right.
but the basic principles, they still hold true.
That's a relief. No one wants to wrestle with a clunky interface when they're trying to unleash their inner Hemingway, Exactly. The guide highlights those little formatting tricks that make a world of difference, using symbols for bolding, headings, even creating links.
So it's a bit like learning a new language, but instead of grammar, it's all about asterisks and brackets and things.
Precisely. It might feel a bit strange at first, but trust me, once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, about those rewards we talked about earlier. I've poured my heart and soul into my first blog post, hit that publish button on Peak D. What happens next?
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Unlike those other platforms where you're basically, generating content for free,
Right.
every interaction on Hive has the potential to earn you cryptocurrency.
Seriously, even just leaving a thoughtful comment on someone's blog post can earn me something.
Absolutely. The guide emphasizes that even comments are treated as mini posts on the Hive blockchain.
Wow.
They can be upvoted, downvoted, and yes, they contribute to your overall Hive power and earning potential.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like every interaction on Hive carries real weight. But hold on, doesn't that mean the platform could get flooded with, low effort comments, people just trying to game the system?
That's where the dust threshold comes into play.
Dust threshold. It sounds intriguing, but I have to admit I have no idea what that means.
Basically, there's a minimum payout threshold on Hive.
Okay.
So, those one-word comments or generic great post remarks, yeah, those probably won't earn you anything.
Right.
It's a system designed to reward genuine engagement and discourage, that spammy behavior.
That makes a lot of sense. Keeps things interesting and encourages people to actually, put some thought into their interactions. But speaking of rewards, I'm still a bit fuzzy on the whole currency situation. The guide mentions 3 different ones.
Yeah.
HIVE, HP, and HBD.
Right.
It's a lot to keep track of.
I hear you. It can seem like a lot to juggle at first, but think of it this way. HIVE is like the lifeblood, the primary token of the Hive blockchain. It's the most liquid, most versatile of the 3.
Okay.
HP, as we discussed earlier, is essentially staked HIVE.
Right.
It's what gives you influence on the platform, determines your resource credits, and ultimately, boosts your earning potential.
Okay, so HIVE is the fuel, and HP is the size of your engine. It determines how much power you have to play with.
That's a great way to put it. And then there's HBD, which stands for Hive-backed dollars. It's a stable coin designed to, make transactions simpler, especially for those who might be new to cryptocurrency.
Ah, so it's like having dollars and cents within the Hive ecosystem.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. But I'm still curious about how this whole voting and earning thing works in practice, especially for, a newbie like me. I mean, the guide mentions vote mana, voting power, vote weight. It seems pretty complex.
It might seem that way at first glance, but it's actually a pretty elegant system once you understand the basics. You see, on Hive, your vote isn't just a casual thumbs up.
Right.
It's an investment.
An investment in what, exactly?
An investment in the content you love, the creators you want to support, and ultimately in the Hive ecosystem as a whole.
So my vote actually carries real weight.
It does.
That's a pretty powerful feeling. But how do I make sure my votes are being used strategically? Tell me more about this vote mana thing.
Think of vote mana like your personal voting power reserve.
Okay.
It replenishes over time, but every vote you cast depletes it a little bit.
So I can't just go around upvoting every single post I come across.
You could, but you'd quickly run out of voting mana and wouldn't have any left to support the content you truly love. It's all about pacing yourself and, choosing your battles wisely.
That makes sense. So strategic voting is key, but what about vote weight? How does that factor into the equation?
That's where you get to, fine-tune your influence even further.
So if I'm hearing you right, it's like vote mana is my overall voting energy, and then vote weight lets me, dial in how much of that energy I want to put behind each vote.
Exactly. Think of it like adjusting the intensity of a spotlight. You can focus a really narrow, powerful beam on just a select few posts, or you can, spread your influence more broadly. The guide, it even suggests, checking your voting mana regularly, maybe on a site like hiveblocks.com, just to make sure you're not spreading yourself too thin.
It's a lot to think about, but I'm starting to see how, strategic voting can make a real difference. Now, the guide also touches on some more, advanced Hive concepts, things like delegation, witnesses, and communities.
Yeah.
Should I be, wrapping my head around those as a newbie, or are those more, level 2 stuff?
It's great to be aware of them early on, even if you don't, dive deep right away. Think of them as just, different facets of what makes Hive so unique. Delegation, for example, is like investing your Hive power in another user.
So I could essentially, loan out my influence to someone that I believe in, and then potentially earn a share of their rewards in the process.
Exactly. It's a fantastic way to support, up-and-coming creators or back projects you're really passionate about. And the best part, you can undelegate your HP at any time. It's all about, putting that power back in the hands of the users.
That's a pretty cool concept. What about witnesses? That one sounds a bit, mysterious.
It does, doesn't it? Think of witnesses as the guardians of the Hive blockchain. They're elected by the community to, ensure that everything is running smoothly and securely.
So it's like a decentralized system of governance where the users themselves get to choose who maintains the platform.
Precisely. It's one of the things that makes Hive so revolutionary. And then there are communities, which are like themed hubs within Hive.
So I could find a community dedicated to, say, travel photography or sustainable living, connect with like-minded people, and even earn rewards for, participating in those communities.
You got it. And here's where it gets even wilder. Many communities on Hive, they have their own cryptocurrencies and even their own governance systems.
Wow.
It's like a mini Hive within the larger Hive ecosystem.
That's next level decentralization. I have to admit, this whole deep dive into Hive has been really eye-opening.
It's a rabbit hole worth exploring, for sure. And remember, even though our guide is from 2021, it provides a ton of links to additional resources where you can, delve deeper into the Hive ecosystem, explore different communities and dApps, and really get a feel for all the possibilities.
It's like we've just scratched the surface of a whole new world of online interaction and, earning potential. So what's the biggest takeaway you hope listeners walk away with today?
I think the most important question this deep dive raises is, does the potential for ownership, rewards, and genuine community on Hive outweigh the learning curve? Because it is a learning curve. It's a different way of thinking about social media, that's for sure.
It certainly is. It's not just about, endlessly scrolling and liking. It's about actively participating, contributing, and potentially reaping some real rewards for your efforts.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming your digital footprint and shaping a more, equitable and engaging online experience.
Well said. A big thank you to our expert for, guiding us through the ins and outs of Hive. And to all you deep divers out there, we'll catch you next time for another fascinating